And so I don't know the time frame, but before I was around, and I guess in the early 2000s even, they would give out antibiotics quite freely, to people to get over their infection, which is good because it stops the infection, and then the person can continue being as healthy as they can be. However, like we saw in the video, eventually mutations will arise where this antibiotic will not work anymore. So now doctors are much less likely to give antibiotics to people unless they know exactly what the bacteria you have is. So that's why antibiotics they're prevalent, but they're not as freely given as what they used to be because of antibiotic resistance and the fear that one day, ever heard of superbugs or super germs? They're afraid to create those, like an unstoppable bacteria that they can't cure, nor can your body, and it'll just wreak havoc on a population. So that's interesting, I think. It's fun.
Fun.
Very fun. Survival. So, I think it's fun. Bacteria, some bacteria, when put in a harsh environment, they will produce what are called endospores. And endospores are really just a capsule with a bit of genetic material and maybe some ribosomes to help replication, but it's an inactive bacteria. And this endospore is very tough. So they can survive extreme heat, cold, dehydration, UV radiation, anything you could think of to throw at it, it would be able to survive. Some bacteria can survive in a vacuum, like outer space. Water bears, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Water bears can survive in outer space, which is crazy. So some examples of this are botulism. Anybody know what botulism is or a common use of botulism? No. Botox.
Look pretty.
Yep, Botox. And so I don't know if you guys are familiar what Botox does, is that they inject botulism into your face, a bacteria into your face that paralyzes your nerves. So your nerves are no longer able to send signals to your muscles, and it makes your face very dead, stiff.
It sounds so bad.
I don't know if it's bad. Well, if done poorly, it's bad. But like if they do it right, it itself's not bad. It's just, I don't know. It's silly. I think it's silly. Anthrax, we talked about this, causes an infection in the meninges. And then tetanus. Everybody have their tetanus shot?
Yep.
Good.
Hope so.
Yeah. I just got one recently. They're fun. They hurt, but it's worth it. That happens when you step on like a nail or something like that. They like to live on rusty metals. So in order to get rid of these endospores, scientists use what is called an autoclave. And we'll essentially be using one at some point to sterilize our equipment. But it's not like a true autoclave, but it's basically an autoclave. And what it is you take a little bit of water, about that much, in the bottom of your autoclave, and you put all your stuff into that device, and you run it. And when you run it, it will apply 15 psi of pressure. So the pressure on Earth, I don't know, just an estimate, is around 14.68, I think, is 7. Okay, all right, 14.7 psi. So it means it's double what the pressure on Earth is. It's doubling the pressure. That means there's 2 atmospheres, if you're remembering back to physical science days. At 250 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's hot, there's a lot of pressure. for 30 to 60 minutes. So that's how and that will completely sterilize any equipment that you have. And one more thing I forgot to talk about yesterday, when we were talking about the smell of rain and how humans can smell it way better than anything else. I did a terrible job of explaining how much better we can smell it. So we can smell petrichor is the name of it, the smell of rain, the bacteria that happens in the smell of rain. We can smell it at 0.4 parts per billion. So
0.4 billion?
yeah, so if I had 1 billion particles, if I had, how do I say this? If I had 1 billion particles, let's make it 2 billion, then I'd be able to smell it. It's terrible. Let's do it this way. In this room, it's 28 feet by 28 feet, let's say, and then 9 feet tall. I would be able to smell the petrichor if there was 56 particles of the petrichor floating around in here. 56. And to think about, I don't know, 56 kind of seems like a lot. There is 10,000 at the low end to 1 million bacteria on your hand. And you only need 56 in this room to smell it. So that's how well we can smell that. Yeah, they smell really bad. Or it sends a really strong signal to us. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Interesting fact. Not that you need to know it, but it's interesting. Metabolism, important. I should have starred this one. Heterotrophs. Somebody break down that word for me if you can. Hetero. What does hetero mean?
Straight.
Well, yes, it means other. So hetero means other. So it needs other things, other organisms to create food, heterotrophs, for nutrients. It cannot synthesize its own food and must acquire nutrients from other sources. What is a heterotroph that you can see?
Preston.
What, Preston?
Yeah.
Yeah, Preston is.
Well, I mean,
We all are. We don't create our own food. We do not create our own food, so we are heterotrophs.
I think that one's probably not a heterotroph.
What do you think is a plant?
Photoautotrophs. Photoautotroph. Take a guess at what that means. Don't read it.
It's a plant.
They take pictures.
A plant. No. Photo means light. So photo means light.
Automatic photo.
Auto means it does it itself. Troph means nutrients. So light, make, nutrients. It makes its own food. So photosynthesis, yes. Light synthesization. Plants. Acquire nutrients via photosynthetic mechanisms. So like algae, or algae is a huge one that we talk about. That's a photoautotroph. And it's originally thought to be a eukaryote, but is later classified as a prokaryote. Give me an example of a eukaryote.
Sailor's eyeball.
Who?
Sailor's eyeball.
Say that again.
Sailor's
big
eyeball.
green-
Sailor's eyeball. No, not quite.
Oh, I wasn't paying
It's all right. It's all right. Think of a eukaryote. Wyatt. Yes.
Oh.
Also, we are eukaryotes. Animals, plants, fungi are eukaryotes. Algae is a prokaryote. So algae was thought to be a eukaryote, classified as a prokaryote.
Wait. So all of algae is one cell?
No. It's a classification. So
Oh.
think of saying plants are eukaryotes. So any plant, sunflowers, blah, 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 eukaryotes, prokaryotes, anthrax, algae. Okay, all right. Yep. Cyanobacteria is what we call algae, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. And then chemo autotrophs. Not quite. That's a good guess, though. Chemo.
They spread.
Keno, a worm.
No, not they spread. Think,
A
how
fungus.
about chemical?
Breaks down.
Chemical autotroph. So using chemicals to produce their own food.
A fly. Worm.
I actually have a picture of it that'll show you how. So a chemo autotroph, it acquires the nutrients by breaking down inorganic compounds and synthesizing them into organic molecules. The two big ones are sulfur and nitrogen. Anybody farmer? Any farmers in here?
A little bit.
On a farm? Live on a farm?
Don't.
A little bit.
Okay. So a lot of farmers do something with their crops every other year. Spray them, yes, and fertilize them, yes. But think of what kind of crops are in that field.
Soybeans. Wheat.
So if it's soybeans one year, what's the next? Corn. So they flip it, corn, soybeans. That's because soybeans, I'm going to forget.
Require less fertilizer.
Nope. No, that's a good guess, though.
Revitalize the
What's the word? It's rhizome.
They add sulfur to the soil.
I should know this because my dad has a business for this.
Okay. Do you know how to?
Yeah, they add sulfur.
I know what you're talking about, but I.
Okay. So on a soybean plant, I cannot think of it's close to rhizome, but it's not the rhizome.
Resin.
Not ribosome either. But anyway, it's very close to the rhizome. In there, they create pustules. You know what a pustule is? A what?
Air pocket.
A pocket? Yeah, it's a section of the root that bacteria that produces nitrogen can live in. So, why would that be important for the soybean? Yes, it provides the soybean plant with nitrogen to grow. So, and why do you think we rotate the soybeans and
Because the corn needs
Because corn needs nitrogen.
the corn needs the nitrogen and the soybeans produce the soybeans themselves don't produce nitrogen, but the bacteria on the soybeans produce nitrogen.
So, yeah, sponge.
Be quiet. Yeah.
Does everybody remember what cycles and what flows?
Air positive.
No.
Nope.
Water.
So
Water cycle.
a water cycle. Yeah.
Travel.
How about just like nutrients cycle and energy flows? That makes sense. Yeah. So
Circle of life.
yeah, pretty much. So nitrogen cycle. It cycles. There's always going to be the same amount of nitrogen just cycling around.
I got hit by the.
So nitrogen in the air.
Somebody do that.
The nitrogen. What?
We have a water cycle song that we
Oh, really? No, there's. So nitrogen in the air is then converted into ammonium, I believe. Yeah, ammonification. And that is then used by nitrogen fixing, nitrifying bacteria. And then, oh man, this is more than you need to know. Let me tell you that. So just know the bacteria in the soil fixes the nitrogen into usable nitrogen by all the other organisms. So like the soybeans or the corn. And then once that nitrogen is used up, it's then released back into the atmosphere, and the cell cycle. The cycle continues. Does anybody else know another form of nitrogen fixation? Lightning.
Lightning.
Lightning is another form of nitrogen fixation. It's on there. Yep.
Sunny day.
This is a sunny day.
Yeah.
But
And the
Had a
cows
cloud
out.
with rain and lightning coming out.
Why is the cow?
What part did cows?
oh,
It's gonna get struck by lightning.
the cow's poop provides nitrogen as well. So when the cow uptakes nitrogen, right, it eats it in the plants and stuff, it uses it, and then in the form of N2 is deposited back into the cycle.
What's the tree for?
Well, it needs, right, it needs it's like the soybeans. It will use it up.
I'm sorry, Preston. I didn't see the arrow pointing
Oop.
to the tree.
We good with that? Cyanobacteria. Algae, photosynthetic bacteria. So, I forgot a key characteristic. What did I forget when writing this?
CO2.
So I got CO2 and water. What else does?
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Yep, needs sunlight. So it uses CO2, water, and sunlight as its energy source to create O2 and sugar that's released back into the environment.
What's your favorite vitamin?
Vitamin D, because our skin produces it in the sunlight. It's pretty cool. Vitamin C is cool because of what happens when you don't have vitamin C in your system. Scurvy. Yep. Pirates. Dying. Does anybody know what a winter kill is?
Getting frostbite and staying in snow too long.
Nope, not quite.
When it's cold and everything dies.
It has to, yes. Specifically where?
Ice
The ground.
Nope. Not quite.
In cold climates.
Nope.
Trees.
In a lake.
Oh, it kills the fish. I didn't know we were referring.
Yep. I don't know. That's where I know from.
Because the fish
So,
when the lake freezes over and the fish can't breathe.
well, yes, it does, but it's something specific that's on top of the ice.
No.
Snow. And why is that a problem? The sunlight can't reach into.
Sun under pressure and what?
Yep. The sun can't go through the snow and provide the algae with light to do photosynthesis. So what happens? So they can't do photosynthesis. Why do you think it kills the fish?
Because they don't have
Well, food. Oxygen's the main one. They don't have oxygen to breathe.
the fish have plenty of.
Yeah.
They're all carnivores.
I can eat while not breathing.
It also well, it's not cyanobacteria, but bacteria in the water also provides nitrogen for water organisms. All right, ready? Oh, you're good. Okay. Uses of bacteria. Like we said, nitrogen fixation. It's a big one. Gut flora. They break down food particles for us into something that we can digest. So they outcompete and they also outcompete the harmful bacteria that may be living in your digestive system. So they break down the particles and outcompete bad bacteria in your stomach. Same thing on your skin. not all the bacteria, most of the bacteria actually, on your skin is good bacteria. It's just those pesky little other ones that cause the problem. I wish I knew the scientific name for it. But does anybody know what happens when your gut microbiome is poor, especially in your colon? It's quite gross.
No table.
No table? What does that mean? Do you know what happened? What they do?
Well, they reintroduce them.
They reintroduce them. So there's two ways that they could, and we'll talk about probiotics in a sec. Poop transplant. So if you have a bad, I don't know, group of bacteria in your stomach, they'll probably do something that gets rid of it. Probably like, what's that? Makes you poop a lot. What's the? Miralax. Gives you Miralax or whatever. Cleans all of it out. And then they'll take someone else's feces that has good bacteria in it, and they'll put it in a blender,
Shove it down your throat.
and then they give it to you, or give it to the patient that has the poor bacteria. Just right up the bum.
I'd rather that.
Yep. So ways to prevent that are by eating stuff with bacteria in it.
What, cheese?
Cheese?
Vegetables.
Any idea? No, vegetable. Well, maybe, but meat. Well, meat. Yogurt. Yogurt is what I was looking for. Meat, kinda, but it's really eat healthy foods and eat yogurt, cheese, that sort of stuff.
Does that mean vegetarians aren't getting the bacteria they need?
Oh,
Vegetarians go through
It's a good question.
Wyatt said no table because it's not able, not no table.
There are no table to be broken.
Not
Oh, not able. Okay, I got it. I got you now. Hilarious. So yeah, bacteria are super, super helpful for us, for nearly every other organism on Earth.
Invented the food transfer.
I don't know, some crazy guy. Okay, and then another use of bacteria is food and medicine production. So like we said, yogurt, cheese, aged steak, industrial for like pants. Pants is one. Breaking down plastic is another thing that they've recently discovered. Some bacteria can break down plastics. Yeah, which is good. We want to get rid of that
What do
because
they produce after they?
smaller forms of carbon molecules that can be used by us. Yeah, which can be used by us and that kind of stuff. In medicine, I believe vitamin K, E. coli produces vitamin K in our colon specifically, which gives, I can't remember what vitamin K itself does. It's clotting factors, yep. So they use it in industry to produce vitamin K pills. They'll use E. coli to produce a pill for you. No, you have E. coli in you right now. E. coli is only bad when, let's say, you're eating romaine lettuce is like a big one, where the E. coli is infected. It's not infected. It's on the lettuce. You eat it, and we're about to talk about this. Hey, this is a good transition. Bacteria, and so you eat it, and it's in your stomach, and it puts that cell under stress. And when that cell is stressed, it will release toxins. And those toxins are what cause food sickness.
So it's just not my cells.
It's not your cells, it's the toxin released by bacteria.
Do your cells get stressed when you're stressed?
Yes, we'll talk about that in viruses. Like, your cells aren't stressed, but you release chemicals when you're stressed that cause the cell to do other cellular activities. Your bones get stressed.
Yeah, I've had 2 stress fractures during one of them.
Oh, that's a different kind of stress, but yeah. So bacteria causes disease due to the release of toxins when the cell is put under stress. Then we're talking about the bacteria cell, not your own cells. And an antibiotic works by interfering with cellular activities in one way or another. So maybe it can't replicate, it interferes with that, or it binds to the bacteria cells so they can't attach to anything. Or maybe it stops the production of the toxins themselves. It's something like that. So that's what antibiotics do.
That was the one made by the guy accidentally, right? Antibiotics?
Yes. I should research that. Is it? Oh, penicillin. No. And I got to research that. But yeah, penicillin. Anybody allergic to penicillin?
Never tried it before.
Allergic to Preston. That counts.
I think Preston's getting close. I gotta see
I
this.
currently can't breathe.
That's your asthma, Sean.
Shut up, everything.
It's his month. He
Nice.
can be however he wants.
Oh,
Yeah, it is my month. December told me.
She actually said it's not.
Oh, well, she said I was asking African American. So.
Is it actually African? Is it? Like this one?
Everybody get it down?
All right, now. I just
Oh, we're at viruses.
Are we done?
Ah.
My hand kind of hurts.
Yeah, let's do that. And what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the vocab. That's not your book. You know how like most of your vocab isn't actually in your book. I'll pull that up the definitions, and you guys can work on those. Most of them aren't. We found.
next month though is women's
Do we have to do the vocab on the other sheet too?
month next month.
Well, that's your vocab list. So use that list on that other sheet. So that list right there, use that as your vocab list for this chapter. Does that make sense? What?
So we don't have to do the ones we're gonna pull up?
Oh no, same thing.
The same, like doing the definitions. I didn't even know you had him on Snapchat. How did you get a Snap in the first place? You said it's used up in common.
Okay. All right.
We have a couple of them.
I believe. Okay. Does this appear familiar?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, there you go. So, you can't see it?
Yeah, zoom in like on the left half.
I'll just do this.
Yes. Oh. Okay. Whoops.
He looks like a.
And.
Oops.
Okay. Yes. Yep. We'll do. I'll staple this and we'll get.
Okay. Tell me when you need me to scroll.